So let me get this right. In a month and a half, you got 11,000 reals worth of
Yes.
return.
Yeah. 30 days, you're going to have a result from one month to the other month. You have to think what now is non-negotiable.
Welcome to the Mint Choc Media Podcast, where we discuss everything about marketing, positioning, and advertising to boost and scale your business. Today's guest is a marketing consultant and entrepreneur from Rio de Janeiro. She's known for nurturing, accelerating, and moving to the next level small to medium businesses. She also has a mentoring program for business founders called Go Mensi Mentoring Program. We will be discussing these topics, including marketing, sales, and mindset. Today's guest is none other than Luiza Vieira. Let's forget the bio for a second. I want to know who is the person that you most want listening to this conversation right now. Can you paint that person in one sentence?
I usually say that we like clients. We like to have match with clients, not by industry, like a niche, but by their problems, their desires,
The problems?
the desires, and their values, their personality, and their company characteristics. Usually they are like between 50,000 of revenue and 80,000.
So it's not small money. This is big investment.
Yeah. But they stay in that ups and downs, you know. So that's the person who I am talking with.
That must be a lot of high pressure in that environment to make sure that you can keep on top of that.
Yes.
Wow.
Especially in Brazil.
Especially in Brazil. Yeah. Well, you recently went to Dubai, didn't you? How did that go for you? How was that?
It was very nice. I've been there to feel, the international scenario and open some doors there.
Yeah.
And understand how can I enter in a country, get into a country that is very open, like Brazil, very open to tourists, So it was very nice.
And did you notice any differences in business style out there in comparison to Rio de Janeiro?
What I felt is that they have a good relationship with sales.
All right. Tell me more.
With business.
Yeah.
Here, people usually, especially in some industries, I feel that my clients come with a fear of selling.
Fear. Yes.
And there they don't have these problems,
Very confident then.
Yeah,
Is that
very
right?
confident
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's very natural to them. Business, sales is very natural. They make meetings, hangouts, and they have a weekly schedule, for business and make networking. And here we have that behavior of feeling that we have bad interest,
Bad interests?
Yeah, we have an interest in someone that we are talking. So we make networking, but we don't like to say we are making networking.
Oh, more like a friendship rather than a business partnership.
Yes. So people don't like here to say that they are trying to sell something or make a business relationship.
I have heard that here, when business is conducted, especially in Rio de Janeiro, that it's more, you'd kind of meet for coffee. You'd talk about maybe family and friends. That's something that, for me in the UK, it can sometimes be a bit cold. We'll have 5 or 10 minutes in that conversation area, but not as much as you guys have here. I find that quite unique. And so it was, in comparison to the UAE, did they ever talk about family or friends inside the business realm, or they sort of keep that different?
No, I think that there they, as I said, they treat naturally. I think there is more natural there than here, Here, I think that sometimes we go to a meeting and we can't say our interests, we can talk about business until we feel comfortable,
Right.
So
So
I
some,
think it's,
yeah, a little bit tense.
yes, a
Yeah.
little bit tense.
Well, I was looking over in that respect of who you're talking about, especially here in Rio de Janeiro. When I was looking over your website and your offerings, you named your membership as "I'll be your last mentor," and that's a bold promise. That's a strong promise. And what does that actually mean?
Here in Brazil, we have many groups mentoring, program of mentoring in groups, you know. And sometimes mentors make promises that this program will be one-to-one, or that you're going to have a one-to-one guidance, And many mentors promise that, like, I'm going to take your hands, And then people enter the program
And it's completely different.
and it's completely different. So you have many classes in group, group classes, and you have like one meeting per month,
So
and that
it's,
mentor lets you
and
there,
then, and then,
And in my mentoring program, many times I had the great feedback of, you really guided me,
that's nice to hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you really guided me, and that's why we get the results that we usually have,
That sounds great for especially how it ties into the way people conduct business here in Brazil. That relationship first priority
Yes, relationship.
over the rest
That's
of it.
the words.
Well, on that note, if somebody is listening right now with a full diary, good sales, and somehow still feel like they're going backwards in terms of freedom, what do you want them to know before we're done today?
Easier than they think, but it has a price. And sometimes people aren't available to pay the price, But I think that freedom related to business is when you define your values, what is important to you, and you decide the prices you want to pay, and then you build a business based on the lifestyle that you want to have, So the freedom is in that path. You build a business based on the lifestyle that you want to have.
And that's a lot to balance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So sometimes people, like, they open a physical business, with a store, but they want to have geographic freedom,
Geographic freedom as in they want to expand and scale on their business, or they want to have the chance to travel.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So sometimes people want to have a flexible schedule, agenda, but they don't build a business.
Do you think do they ever get guilty? Do you ever think they feel some guilt when they want actually what they want? Like when they have that time in the business and they've worked so hard, they don't know how to have fun and they don't know how to relax. Do you think that's part of it? Do you think that happens?
Yes, I have a client. That's one time she told me when she was with her daughter. She used it in the morning, She used it to feel like guilty. 10 a.m. Yeah, around 10 a.m. And when she is at the gym around 11 a.m., she feels guilty because her team is watching her on Instagram and seeing that they are working and she isn't,
Yeah.
But what I say is that she conquers the freedom,
The freedom.
Yeah, she conquered. The results that she has today gives her the right to begin 1 p.m.,
Yeah,
her work.
Yeah, she put in the hard work. deserves
Yes.
some of that time.
Yes. I
Yeah.
answered your question.
Absolutely. I think what you're touching on there is that sense of the imposter feeling. And I've got some research on that. From what I can see from here, the research shows that around 70% of the successful women in Brazil experience the imposter feeling. And for Brazilian founders, it includes a fear about success and not just failure. You've touched on that a little bit, but what do you think is actually going on there?
That's a great question. I was listening to a podcast yesterday
Not this one, obviously, but
about that
yeah.
because we feel that all the time, imposter, like imposter. What can I say about that? I think that at first it's something of women. It's um, a women question in the first place. And actually, I have this problem. I have this issue all the time. So when I decided to come here, I was like, oh my God. And I talked this week in my stories on Instagram. I said, although I had already lived in one country for 1 month, talking in English, and I made my graduation in English and many things like that, I still feel that is not enough.
Well, I think it's enough. We're having a great conversation.
Pois é.
I'm,
That's
emba-
it.
I'm embarrassed to say, if I knew that I could have a conversation like this in Portuguese, as much as you can do in English, I think I'll be pleased with just being halfway there. But yeah, I think that's an important point that you've touched on there, especially with the imposter syndrome and that kind of situation. What's the behaviour that almost every stuck founder does when things aren't really working, even though they know it won't fix anything?
I would like to say that for us to move forward, for us to break these walls through imposter syndrome, we should just do things, to elevate, increase our confidence, So the less we make things, the less we feel confident to make things happen, So what makes us achieve our goals without the imposter syndrome is go there and take our steps, even though we aren't feeling secure
Yes.
and confident.
How would you say? I think the word I would use is courage.
Yes,
What
courage.
is it? Coragem in Portuguese.
Coragem.
Coragem.
We have to be bold. Bold, and go there and do it. So when we do it, we feel that, so I'm good, so I'm nice.
On that note, do you recall the last courageous moment you've had, say, in the past week or month? Has there been a moment recently where you felt like you had to really push through that to get to a success?
I think that some decisions that I took in my company recently of making some, how can I say, launching some products that is gonna make us scale, and it's totally different from the way that I do now. All the processes are different.
So you've changed some systems around and...
Yes.
Yes,
So
okay.
that's something that I procrastinated
Yes.
for many months. And now...
Easily done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I decided to do it. So the plan is there. The whole plan is there, So sometimes we know how to do things. We know exactly the steps, the plan. Even when we are nerds, like me, so I study a lot. Sometimes you, woman or man, You study a lot, like me, and you have the perfect plan, but
Studying a lot. So it's preferable for you then. You tend to read a lot of business books or mentoring books and stuff like that.
yes, I study through mentoring programs, through books, podcasts, and I study all the time.
And you had a mentor yourself, is that correct?
Yes, I had a mentoring program
Mm.
until like some weeks ago.
Hmm.
And I'm always being mentored because I always say, don't believe a mentor that don't have a mentor, you know?
Yeah, I
So,
guess the idea of having a mentor for some can feel, slightly nervousness, slight embarrassment, and not understanding what a mentor actually does. But can you actually put into words for me what really, as if I'm a 5-year-old and I hear the word for the first time, a mentor, in terms of getting things on the move, what does that actually entail for the kind of person that reaches out to you for help? What does really the word mentor mean?
if you are a child learning how to walk, and when I was a child, let me tell you a story. When I was a child, I didn't, how can I say in English?
Crawl.
Crow. I didn't do that because my house was being reformed.
Like renovated.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
renovated. So I was trying to walk, and I couldn't do that.
Really?
Yeah,
Why? What was it? The floor?
because
Was
the
it
floor was like not ready. You know, it was, I don't know how to say in
unfinished?
English.
Like there was
Unfinished.
renovating? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
So I just got into my feet one
Oh,
day,
yeah, yeah.
and I
You just went.
yes, and I went. But I didn't know how to do that, you know.
Mm.
And
So you really in that situation, you had no choice then.
I had no choice.
Yeah.
I had no choice. But sometimes, all the time, babies have the choice. But if they could choose, they would choose go
And crawl.
and put the feet and not going to the floor and
So in
go.
perspective of in relation to dealing with your clients and helping them out, how do you think that sort of knowledge ties into being a good mentor for your clients? How does that?
I think it's better, I prefer to go with guidance and make less mistakes, you know. If I can choose making less mistakes or making more mistakes, I choose to go making less mistakes because here in Brazil we don't have that. If you come from the place that I came, you don't have resources to burn, you know. We aren't a startup.
Mm.
Small businesses aren't a startup.
So like cash isn't anywhere. You just have to kind of
Yes, you don't
yeah.
have investors, so you can't burn your money.
That's
You know?
interesting. There is one thing. Well, I've seen it quite a few times, especially in Brazil. And can you help me understand this? So, since being here in Brazil, for context for the audience out there, I've been living in Brazil on and off for a few years, and I've had the pleasure of knowing you for a while. And what I've noticed is the marketing in Brazil. To me, is hilarious. Like there's people with so much confidence, but using nothing but their phones. I mean, I'm seeing them on, on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram of the like the front facing clients helping the customers. They'll happily be in front of a camera and do crazy stuff to make the point that these shoes are the best shoes in town.
Yes.
And do you think that's sort of because they always say like it's in their DNA? Marketing is in a Brazilian's DNA. Do you think there's some truth to
Yes.
that?
Yes. And you were asking about Dubai,
Mm.
and we had clients all over the world, and everywhere people talk about Brazilian marketing, you know, influencer marketing, creator economy, and Brazil is very advanced in that.
Mm.
And that's the point. We have to use all of our resources, you know. So that's why we don't let our phones there, and we just take our resources and we make the best.
It's a strong resource. Yes, a mobile phone's a strong resource. But I also understand it's tough, isn't it? Because I also understand that we do have the tools. Almost all of us has a mobile phone. But having that little push to have the confidence to make those mistakes and get in front of a camera is quite a lot of pressure for some people. Have you observed that with your clients? And what do you say to them when that happens, when they feel that tension?
I say, usually I ask them how much they want that dreams, you know? So, do you really want your dreams that you're saying to me that you want? So, if you want to scale and you need internet, you need digital for that, how much you really want, you know? Because your friends that are laughing about your your positioning of trying to do something new on internet, your friends, your family won't pay your bills, you know, your personal bills and your company bills. So if you take the camera and you're trying to make something new in your business and you have to put your face there and you're thinking that people will look at you and laugh and no, you aren't that important. I
Yeah.
always say to them.
Well, before this podcast, I think we met for coffee and had a chat about what we're going to talk about in the podcast, and it's really good we did that because you mentioned that over coffee, where you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I remember you saying, at the end of the day, you know, the family and friends that might laugh at you for being in front of an Instagram, being on a reel, at the end of the day, they're not paying your bills.
Yes, that's it. That's it. And one thing that I always say is that you have to see very clearly where you want to go, you know. What do you want to achieve, and emotionally how you're gonna feel when you achieve that. And like I always say, I want to give my children that I don't know if it's gonna be in 5 years or 10 years, I want they to learn English as I learned. So if I don't put my face now and scale my business now, in 10 years my children won't have the good English school, you know. So I won't travel, you know, all over the world. I won't have my apartments in the places that I want. So I always say to them that they shouldn't say I want to grow. You know, I want to grow is very open, you know. So if you don't define very clearly, you don't make clear to your mind where do you want to go with your money, you know, what do you want to achieve with your money, and your team should know that too.
That's a very good way of keeping the thoughts clean, in the way
Yeah.
that a lot of people just think, oh, I just need more cash.
Yes.
But then really, what
For
does
what?
what does that
Yes.
get you?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. So you're not gonna go through your fears. You're not gonna go through your fears if you don't know clearly what do you have in the other side of the wall, you know. So
Well, a lot of founders chase, from what I hear, the freedom by getting more clients. Why is more clients often the worst route to the freedom they actually want?
I've been through this issue, and many founders of small companies have this problem. Usually when you want more clients is because you aren't able to achieve your goals now with your company with the price that you are charging right now, you know. So you doesn't have the right positioning to charge a higher price, so you charge a small price and you need more clients, So I always advise them to have less clients and good clients, So the operation. So here we aren't talking just about sales, Your operation will be more healthy if you charge a higher price, and you have less clients.
I can imagine a lot of your clients get a bit scared when they hear that.
Yes.
Regards, well, wait a, for example, if I was to act out, somebody in need, my first gut reaction is, well, wait a minute, what about, you're saying that I should get rid of some of them and then increase the price, but then what if that all goes wrong? What if, oh God, what if, I made a big mistake and those smaller clients were actually my best clients in a way?
That's a good question. So we don't make the prices higher before changing the positioning, So we first change the positioning and elevate, increase the perception, the value perception of the clients. And then when we change this perception, this value perception, we change the price.
Okay, so it's not the same increase the price. It's okay. We're gonna demonstrate how good we are.
Yes.
Which then reflects the price.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Yes. So we reflect that on the price just after feeling that the customers are
disproportionate,
unbalanced. So the clients should feel that it's unbalanced. So the value is here and the price is here. So then we can make the prices higher, So we won't just change the prices and people will be like, oh my God, you're changing the prices, but I'm not feeling anything different,
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just a matter of changing the value perception,
In terms of that change, what does a business look like at the end of your company, Gomensi Mentorship, that it couldn't look like before? What's the measurable difference usually that you see in your clients?
They can sleep at night.
I would love that.
They can sleep at night.
I'll have 10 of those, thank you. I'll pay. Yeah.
So I think that they feel a little bit more, they feel more peaceful about the next steps. Sometimes they get into a month without knowing what they have to do in that month in marketing and sales actions, And that's why they go through that ups and downs. So if they have an up, they don't know why they had that good revenue, They don't know why. It was like, oh, the season or the economy, but they don't know why they had that up. So they enter the month without knowing what they're gonna do, in the dark, And they go through the weeks without knowing what's gonna happen in the next week to pay the bills and to make things happen, So they feel peaceful after the process, and they start knowing the next steps.
The next steps.
So
yeah. And I think it brings a lot of relaxation, a lot of calm when you actually see a process.
Yes. And they see a projection of growing. That is something that's without mentoring, without passing through our process, they see just the short term, next month.
With your process at your business, what is the first? Are you able to give the first obvious step when somebody comes to you and says, "I really need help. I have no idea what to do now. I'm stuck." What is the first process you go through with that person?
The first process is making diagnosis.
A diagnostic.
Yeah, diagnostic.
Like a doctor.
Yes, like a
Yeah, I
doctor,
could
a
see you as
business doctor.
yeah, oh, business doctor. I think that's
A
really
business
good.
doctor.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. A business doctor. So the first step is making mapping, you know, of how this business is right now and understands how it's structured now, even if they don't have a structure. So we're gonna understand what they are doing right now and what tools and resources they have now for us to begin. You know, because sometimes they go through mentoring or courses and people start saying, do this, do that, but doesn't make this mapping of what resources that founder has. You know, so sometimes you're going to put your money, your energy, your team in one action, but with your resources, your time, and the arms that you have now, it isn't the best choice, you know, the best path.
Help me understand that if you don't. The arms that we have, you mean like with what resources we have? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you don't mind, because obviously we've talked a lot about the structure and what's going on in terms of how that all works behind the scenes. If you're okay to tell me can you tell me the story of a particular client where the transformation even surprised you?
Yes.
Were the results like bigger or faster than you expected? What actually happened there?
I have a client. That client that I said that felt guilty, you know, it wasn't the daughter, it was the son, her son.
And what did he say? What happened?
Her son, that she always, every morning, she have breakfast. She has a breakfast with her son. And that's the precious moments of her day, you know. And that same client, in the last year, she's going to make 1 year with us. She got into the mentoring program and then the consulting program, and now she's in the most advanced process with us, program with us.
She's really invested.
Yes,
Yeah.
she has really invested. And when she just started, the first step was to change the content strategy, you know, and starting offering more, but in an intelligent way, you know. So she always she's a doctor, she has a clinic, and usually she didn't make big offers, you know.
So sorry, but wait a minute. What about the son? What did he do? What was the turning point there?
The turning point that I was going through that story to remember you. That is the same client, and
okay.
she has freedom now in the morning. You know, she has a flexible agenda or a flexible schedule now. She starts working at 1 p.m. And there in the beginning, that it was last year by around June, the last year when we started, she used it to have punctual offerings. So just consulting, you know?
Just consulting?
Yes.
Okay.
Doctor consulting. Yeah. But we started creating big offers, you know, big offers. And I always say to my clients, the more you offer, the more you make sales. So that's something obvious, but people have the fear of offering, you know.
By the offering, are you talking about upsells or checking in on routine appointments, or
Sometimes it's just saying, oh, like she's finishing the consulting, the doctor consulting.
consultation? Yeah.
Consultation. She's finishing the process with her clients, and she takes the paper and says, oh, you need to do this, and that. So go there and pay this plan, this treatment plan, She usually didn't do that, you know.
Okay.
So
Do you think that was because she felt a little embarrassed, or
yes.
there was a little bit of unconfidence there? Do you feel like some of that is not feeling worthy of having that, that sort of not feeling worthy of pushing for, offering those services, even though you were trained to do those?
Here in Brazil, we have issue with, I think that medicine industry, law industry, or law founders, some industries people are afraid of selling, and it's something very common. I think it's something related to ethics. And she had that problem. She had that issue of offering. When I say offer, it's just like saying that you have something to sell. Sometimes I'm not talking about a structured offer. It's just saying, oh, I have this. You can buy that. So she usually she didn't offer a plan to her clients. So the clients left the consultancy, just go home, make the skincare at home, and that's it. So
when there could have been so much more on the table,
yes.
She could have helped that client with.
Yes. So one day I always remember, and she always says, I remember the day that I said to Lu, my nickname is Lu. I said to Lu, I just sold.
I just sold.
I just sold. Lu, I just sold 11,000
11,000 reals.
11,000 treatments.
No.
Yes. And
How
she
long
was
did that
like,
take? How was that in a month? Was that in a?
It was like she got into the plan, the program. She got into the program in June, and it was like in the first week of September. So it was like 1 month and a half.
Just in a month. So let me get this right. In a month and a half, she got 11,000 reals worth of return.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes, and she used it to have a revenue of between 40,000 and 50,000, and now she's around the dreamed 100
Over 100,000 reals?
Yes, 100,000 reais.
That's insane.
Yes. So she started with 40,000, between 40,000 and 50,000, and now she's 100,000 every month.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's big numbers.
So in 1 year.
Yeah.
And in that month, she started with 60, so she was elevating the revenue. And I remember 1 month she was like, oh my God, I sold 6,000 treatment. And she says, oh, an angel passed by here. And I said, no, Renata, it wasn't an angel. It was a structured process, And
it was a system.
Yeah, it was a system.
A plan.
And in the other month, she was like, oh my God, one client, 11,000. So she said, yes, it's a system. It was not just lucky.
But that's also that's not only improving her finances, but that must be really improving her life as well. Did she get some of her time back? Did that change her life in any way? Where is she now?
Where is she now?
In terms of her life, now she's managed to get that system going.
Yeah.
How did her life transform outside of the business?
She has the mornings with her son and her husband, and she has the personal at the gym. The gym personal.
Oh, personal trainer.
Yeah, the personal trainer.
Oh, wow.
That she goes like around 11 every day, 11 a.m. And she usually attend it in the morning.
This is great. You're painting. I was taught a word recently, and I'm not saying this is who she is, but I learned a word in Brazil recently, and it was called a patricinha.
Patricinha.
Is she a little bit like that now?
Burguesa.
Burguesa.
Burguesinha. Now she has a...
And the guy version I've heard is a Moricinho.
Yeah.
Yes.
She has a burguesinha, a patricinha life right now.
Do you think, deep down, just like on a fun note, do you think that some people, some of your clients dream of that kind of lifestyle? You know, they've worked really hard. You know, they don't want the attitude of a patricinha, but they want they like the idea of, yeah, you know, I've earned this. I want to see this going in the right direction now. I'm sick of being stuck in the dirt. I'm sick of being in the same, like a hamster on a wheel, you know?
Yeah.
Is that the way you would see it? Like they want to get off that and they want to get to there.
Yes.
A kind patricinha.
Yes. They want to have the freedom. And I think it's important to say that you have work to do, you know, so it's not a miracle. And that's the point. I always say that the difference is that these clients or the other clients that we have that has good results, the clients that we have that have good results, they put the steps in action, you know, very quickly. So this client that I just said, she's a woman that she goes there. If I tell her now, do it, no, she's going to do it like in the next hour, you know. So usually the difference is that they don't have problems in going there. It's not perfect, but they go and they get into
And when your clients get to that place, what does it feel like the first time a founder steps away for a few days and comes back to a business that kept moving without her? Can you describe that feeling?
The feeling of having a business that is happening.
That's now finally working without them.
Yeah. I think that the feeling, I already had this feeling in my first company. And it's the feeling of seeing that your team is making the same results that you use it to do alone. So she turned into this client specifically. Usually my clients are good sellers alone. You know, they are intelligent. They they take the orientations. They take the plan. They learn how to sell very fast, and they do that. But the problem that comes next is I have to transfer this knowledge to my team. And they doubt if the team's gonna make the same results as they usually they use it to do. You know, that was her problem.
So there's a little nervousness, perhaps.
Yes. So she used it to in that time in September, that results was her results, you know, was her clients. And now she has a person in her sales department that make the same results, you know. So they feel like, now I can breathe that someone makes the same results as I make.
And when that reality sinks in, how long do you think it takes to get from, okay, this has just happened to, oh, actually, it wasn't as big of a problem at all? Or, there was a moment where they could finally relax, they could release that tension. And
if they put into action the plan fast, probably 4 months.
4 months. That sounds an honest number. Like in my head, I was thinking, some people like blast through it because they have no emotion and they could do it in like a week, but 4 months sounds more realistic.
4 months is realistic. Yeah. Sometimes they have these results in 2 months, or something like that, or 1 month, some clients. But that's the point. So, and a curious thing is that I always say that if you keep doing things day after day for a month, like 30 days, you're going to have a result from 1 month to the other month. But usually people start applying like that, the actions, you know. So one week they do that, the other week they don't.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you deal with somebody who is obviously quite nervous about applying the information that you've given them and walking them through the process, but they have become so nervous in the idea of doing it that they don't do it, and then they come back to you and say, I did that one thing, but I didn't have the heart to do the other thing. When that happens, is there a method that you've come across which sort of helps them ease through that, or do they have to come to that conclusion themselves? In other words, do you have to push them, or do they have to understand to jump?
Yeah. At first moments, I have to understand if they really want to learn, you know, if they really want that, because sometimes I receive some people that they don't want, so they say they want, but when they have to get into action, they don't do that, you know. So usually it's a confidence issue. They have things in their minds that makes like voices, you know, internal voices that tell them things, or they don't organize the time, you know. So I have to enter a little bit more beyond the technique, you know, beyond the sales, beyond the marketing, to understand what they have inside their minds.
So I just heard 2 points there. So it's mainly either in their heads or in their calendar is where the problem is, where it starts to get a little sticky.
Yeah.
And
if the problem is in the calendar, usually the problem is in their head, because they don't prioritize something, you know, because of a problem here.
have you seen any of your clients' calendars? I can imagine they're quite crazy. I mean, I use Google Calendar, and mine is all over the place, including the events that I'd like to go to in Rio, in mix of my clients as well. But because obviously we're in Festa de Janina, you know, and there's a lot of events going on, and then I'm trying to prioritize. I've got to work hard, but at the same time, I've got to have a bit of a life, which is good. A good question I want to ask, actually, because I want to know, obviously, if it's just work, 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 people can go crazy. I know I can. Is there a system that you have, or any advice that you give to your clients that balance that?
Okay.
Because surely it can't be fun. It can't be work, work, work 100%, right? Or do you say, unfortunately, it does have to be some work for a week, and you have to sacrifice a little bit, and then you can have, that coffee down at the cafe you really wanted type thing?
I think that sometimes we have to think what is non-negotiable in our lives and our true values, you know. So in the time, in the moments that you feel that your schedule is crazy and you're working a lot, you have to think what now is non-negotiable, you know. Because when you have a business and you want to expand, you want to scale, and I usually say that is different, you know. Scale is different of expanding, growing in another way. But you're gonna be some years, you know, one after the other, working a lot. Here in Brazil, we say you stay some years working a lot, not to work or to have more freedom later. And people usually they want to have freedom now, and in the future they don't have freedom.
Is there any compromise with that? For example, you know, they've got to go all in, you know, which I understand, because obviously it's not only their own cash on the line, it's obviously people who they employ. They've got to get paid, they've got to make a profit. Is there at least one moment, say in the week or the weekend, where you can look them in the eyes and say, you need one day off, because otherwise you're going to blow up?
Yes, I think one day off is good. Sunday. Sunday, maybe Saturday, you know, maybe a morning. I don't know, a night off. Just kidding. But
No, this is true. What I'm feeling is like with your personality, it's more like not tough love, but it's more realistic love. It's
yes.
that's the way I would say it. Would you describe it like that? I would call it realistic love. Like, I love you enough to, want your, for you to want the best and have time off as well. But,
Yes. I like
you,
to talk to them about a flexible routine, you know.
a flexible routine.
Yes, flexible routine and a flexible schedule. So sometimes we are with our family or in our personal life and we start doing something there, and that's okay. And like the other day um I was watching Devil Wears Prada with my friends,
The second one.
the second one. And then I was like creating contents. In the middle there I was creating, but it was like on a Monday, you know. Some people can't do that on a Monday, but I can, you know. But I was there paying a little price of doing something of my work there, you know. So sometimes we make some things that we want to, but we pay a price in the other moments. And I was remembering that client that we were talking about, she had a month that she traveled like 2 times, you know. Her husband told her, let's go to Orlando, Miami.
From Brazil.
Huh?
From Brazil.
Yes.
So that must be what, like a 6-8 hour flight for a start, and then
Yes, and it was to a football game of a Brazilian team in the last year. And they said, let's go, like on Friday. And they went, you know. So, of course, she was creating contents there. And that's work.
Oh, okay, so the work still kept on going.
Yeah.
But it didn't affect
Yes.
all of the,
You
it didn't
know,
affect all of the
so
day.
it's
Yeah.
flexible, and I think that's the point. That's good.
For the founder who's listening in and thinking, I want that. That's the kind of lifestyle I want. What does that person need to believe about themselves to make that a reality?
That's a good question. Yeah, we have to change a lot our self image, depending on from where we come. We have to change a lot our self image, and that's the whole point. I think that's the main point.
By self-image, you mean
The way you see yourself.
the perception from others, or the perception inside type thing, or help me understand that.
When you look in the mirror, you know what you believe about yourself. Here in Brazil, we say autoimagem.
Autoimagem.
Yeah, the way that you see yourself. That's very important, because you can say you want something, but when I give you a plan and you don't make things happen with that plan, something is happening inside your head. You know, especially, and I was talking about that in my stories in the last days, especially when you are an intelligent person, a smart person, you know, a nerd like me, and you have a plan in your hands, and you don't make things happen.
So from the way I understand it, then, it's not only a change in the business,
Yeah.
it's a change in the head.
Yes.
It's a change in the mind.
Yes. So the main point is thinking about what are your beliefs,
Yes.
you know, the things that you carry since you were a child, you know, that makes you act in a different way of what you wanted to do, you know. So you have to map these beliefs and understand how to change it, you know. So I had to make myself more secure. I have to make myself more confident, you know. I usually saw people with less intelligence and less technique achieving good results. And I was like, oh my God. And my clients too, you know.
And so do you think that's interesting to hear, because there's nothing that would scare me more than, searching for a mentor, searching for the right person only to find out they haven't really walked the same steps that I have. They haven't really been through the same problems that I'm dealing with right now. And so it seems like you've had to go through that. You haven't had a choice.
Yes.
Was there a big moment where you realized that this is a big step and I have no choice, because otherwise I'll be doing the same thing I've been doing all the time? Do you remember that moment and what it was like?
When I broke my first company, and then I understood that sometimes technique is not enough. You know, technique's not enough. Sales are not enough. In my business, my technique is sales, but sometimes in my client's business, the technique is another industry. And I understood that it wasn't about sales, it wasn't about technique, it was about my mind, you know. And I used it to think that I was a bad manager, you know, and I always said that to myself.
You was your own enemy.
Yeah. And we usually are our enemies,
Oh yeah.
you know. So we keep bad voices inside our heads all the time. And sometimes these voices are not our voices. It's the voices from someone in our lives that maybe for one day, one moment, someone says something and your brain holds that voice, that sentence, and that keeps in your head
And just
forever.
repeats.
And repeats and repeats. And sometimes the voices are from your head.
Well, just a side note, have you had the chance yet to see any of the recent movies in the cinema?
Michael Jackson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was it?
It was very nice. I'm anxious for the second part. I think it's gonna have.
Oh, a part 2.
Yeah, part 2.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing there, the things, many things called my attention, but the first one was the paper of our family when we were a child, and the way that we act and we think, you know. So yeah, many things that people judged him, that people didn't understand how he was, why he was acting like that. It was because he didn't break many beliefs.
Films are really good. I'm glad you've said that, because, yeah, a good film, a great film does that, doesn't it? It gives us a chance to step away from our world for 2 hours, usually on average, to see a different way, to see the world differently. The beauty of a film. I recently watched, and I'll talk about this because you've highlighted a good point there about the way we think, and it can, like, the things that we've thought for many years gets ingrained in our heads. I recently saw, and I spoke to the team about this here, the movie Backrooms. I don't know if you've seen that yet. It's like a thriller. But what it touches on is basically somebody gets lost in a different dimension. But what it does is it copies their memories in that place called the Backrooms. And so you basically see like disjointed versions of that memory. In other words, that thought is not actually what happened. It's actually, when you actually go back and watch the film, when you go back in your life, that thing might not even ever have happened. So that whole belief system is fake. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's just that it just reminded me of that movie, actually, when you said that about belief systems.
Very good.
Sometimes we're so locked into that world.
Yeah. And that's a job. We have to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
It must be quite scary, though, that moment where even a client or even ourselves think, yeah, that's completely broken everything I thought about that belief.
Yeah. And an important point about Michael Jackson is that on the other side, he was a perfectionist because of the things that happened in his childhood,
Oh,
you know. So in one side, he had many behaviors that was like strange and that he had to treat in the therapy. But on the other side, he was a perfectionist and he just got into that excellent place, that huge success because of that issues of their of his childhood. So it's something that is a paradox. And
it's
we
a big
have to,
paradox.
yes, and
Yeah.
I think we have to know how to explore that in our journey. The good things and the bad things about our childhood to go through success.
And that brings us to, that belief system is always locked into that person, whether they're successful in business or not, or they then look for your help. There's usually a first, we'll call it a domino. There's usually a first domino that turns over. One change that, when it moves, starts shifting everything else. What is it for most of the founders that you work with, where when they come to you, they're like, I've completely had enough of this, and this?
The first thing, I think it depends on the person, or the business. Sometimes I think that the first step is to understand if the big issue is inside or outside. you know Sometimes if they have passed through many courses and mentoring programs, the problem is inside, because they already have a big consciousness about their problems. But if it's the first mentoring program, usually is a technique problem. So
A technique problem.
yeah,
By technique, do you mean?
sales, marketing, and something that is external.
Can we dive deeper in that for a moment? So, yeah, the sales and the marketing can be a problem, but do you notice that there's a pattern inside of that sales or marketing? For instance, there's different ways of selling and there's different ways of telling people that you exist. Which one do they tend to suffer with most? Is it selling or making sure they're appealing to the right person?
I think it's 50-50.
So if that's the case, if it's, say, sales, what is it inside of sales that they tend to struggle with when they want to make things more automatic?
They have to work better the client basis, that they already have. So sometimes they already have clients, ex-clients. Yeah. Sometimes they have clients, ex-clients, and leads that they don't work well. Sometimes it's something basic like making the right follow-up.
By, for example, using like a customer relationship
Yes.
manager or
Yes.
Go High Level or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in sales, if we just start by that, we make some difference in the results. Some difference in the results. And in marketing, sometimes being more specific about campaigns, positioning, and offers on social media, that is very used here in Brazil. It's something that is the first step, positioning and making more clear the offers.
So what you mean by positioning is making sure that your product appeals to a particular person, not just everyone.
Yeah. And I like to open to branding, so sometimes positioning is very specific, but branding, we always say that is with who you are talking, the persona that you are talking to, how you're gonna show that you are the best person or the best company. And usually this is not in the technique, it's in your history,
Like a story, the story of your brand.
the story of your life if you're a founder, and story of your brand.
I've noticed a lot of founder-led reels and stuff like that now on Instagram.
Yeah, so I always make this process of mapping persona, the story of the founder and the company, the brand, their values, their personality, and we start communicating this in the positioning online. So people say, that's for me, and when we talk about the top of the funnel, it's interests, content of high interest of the persona. And then in the middle of the funnel is branding content, so now that you know your problem, now that you know your desires, your persona, you want to know who is gonna solve this problem or this desire. So that's the branding time. The story, the values, the personality, the characteristics, characteristics
That's
of
a tough
the brand.
one. Yeah. What is that in Portuguese? Characteristics.
Características.
Let me try that. Caracteristas.
Características.
Is that okay? Is that good? Yeah.
We can understand.
Oh, cool. I'm going to celebrate.
Características. I can write down for you later.
Thank you. Yeah, I could do with a pen and paper myself just to write down. I should really be doing this. There was, I met up with a friend the other day and there was new vocabulary and I had no idea.
Portuguese is difficult.
It's fun though. It's fun to sort of play with the language. There's things here that you can say, and I think this is why business is more of a relationship first than it is a business first here, because there are things that you can say and do here in the language that you can't do in the UK. We don't really have a technical word for saudades.
Yes, it's like I miss you, but you
but
don't
that's
have
as
a
close
word.
as it can be as a translation.
Yes, you don't have a word.
Yeah, and I'm hearing it all the time in songs, and it has big value. That word.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a huge vocabulary here.
Yeah.
We have a huge vocabulary and very flexible. I love Portuguese, but it's difficult. When I learned English, I was like, oh my God, Portuguese is very difficult for people from outside Brazil,
I'm not sure if we actually
learn.
touched on this before. Have you, where was your education in English?
Brazos,
Is that like a specific school for
Yes.
languages, separate to a school?
Yes, a big school. It was like in the how can I say 2010.
2010.
Usually we had like 4 main schools. So now we have many schools, English schools. But when I studied English around 2010, we usually had 4 schools, and Brazos was one of the main schools. Brazos. We have Cultura Inglesa,
I've heard of those.
Cultura Inglesa, IBEU, Wise Up, and Brazos. And Brazos was focused on conversation. And it was like 5 years of Brazos.
Are you seeing a rise here in Brazil of people who are starting their own language business here and are looking for that kind of mentorship, looking for that kind of way of growing? Is that something that's happening here more because of the pressure of learning a different language, or is that something you've noticed?
No,
If you
I
haven't,
didn't.
that's
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
I'm in my bubble.
You're in your bubble. That's a good. I'm just going to take a drink just for a moment. One moment.
Okay.
A moment ago that you mentioned that you're in your own bubble, because I was mentioning about language businesses here and you don't know much about that, but you noticed that in your bubble that your world of the kind of people who approach you, I want to know, what is that bubble? What is that kind of person that comes to you? What patterns do you notice? What behaviors do they have? Where do they normally come from?
They are people that like to study, people that they like to be specialists in their niches. So if we want to be specialists, we start getting in our bubble. And if we believe, if we dream high, we have to be in our bubble, you know. So if we don't stay in our bubble, we're gonna be contaminated by other thoughts and things that will distract us, you know, from our niche. So my clients are like very nerds. They come to me because they are identified. They have a match with my way of explaining things, you know.
Do they tend to be quite skilled in what they do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So not just basic level. These are the kind of people who go really deep into what they do.
Yeah, they are experts in their area. That's why when they come, usually sometimes they don't have sales problems, you know, because they are specialists. They are references, you know, in their niche.
And do they have any leadership skills, or do they have like a desire to lead in any way?
Yes, that's something that I search for. I search for people that clients that like lead, that they like the process of leading and that leadership, you know. Sometimes they don't know how to do that, as we were talking on in the other day. But it's important to them to. I always say that it's important to like people. You know, if you don't like people, you should have a partner. So if you don't like people, if you don't like leading people, you should have a partner.
I guess that must be hard for some people to come to terms with, is that not everybody is made for being in front of people.
Yes, technique people usually excessive. You know, many people that are excessive technique, they are very good specialists. They go to their bubble and they don't want to see anybody. They don't want to deal with anybody. And that's a problem, you know. And I have some people that come to me and I say, you should have a partner. If you don't have a partner, it's going to be a problem, you know.
Yeah, so having a partner, that must feel a little bit daunting for some people, because, like for me, for example, I'd be a little afraid of giving some of what I've been working hard on to somebody else to manage. You know, how does that must feel quite a tense moment to have that conversation, surely.
Yeah, but you like people.
Of course, here I am.
You like to lead people.
To the extent that, you know, to the extent that I purposefully came to Brazil, because there was something admirable about when I came here on vacation, that Rio de Janeiro, and I understand we have to be careful here, because much like, you know, if somebody asks me where I'm from, to make life easy, I say, I'm from London. Eu sou Londres. I'm not. It's just that it's just a quick way of helping people understand on the map in their mind where I'm from. In the same way that, you know, people, when I first came to Rio de Janeiro, they've never been different. You know, they've always been very open, very, you know, out there, loud. You know, could I say loud? Not loud, just very boisterous, very out there. You know,
Yeah.
Charisma. You know, it's on the streets. I can hear it every night outside my apartment. You know, I can't get away from it. And I've even heard some reports where they're so boisterous and loud, it's like a silence is a rare treat. You know, it's especially in Rio de Janeiro. You know,
Yeah.
but I would like to believe, yeah. You know, of course, I have moments where, you know, I want a moment of peace. You know.
You don't see anybody.
Yeah, you know, I think everyone's like that, but
Yeah.
I don't think I'm afraid of, you know, getting out there and making some mistakes. I always call it mistakes. I love making mistakes, because by those mistakes, that's when I sort of figure things out, you know.
So that's the point. And usually people that don't like people, they have problems with the others' mistakes, you know? They don't have tolerance with others' mistakes. And that's a problem, because if we are trying to grow a company, to innovate and making new things, of course, I'm here to reduce your mistakes. I'm giving you a path, a tested path, but you have to make new things. And sometimes they don't have tolerance with others' mistakes, and they want to grow and delegate, but they don't have tolerance.
Was there any moment with any previous clients where you thought that you could clearly see there was a system or a process that they were doing, but it was so engrossed in the business you knew that it could not change, that they wouldn't be able to change? Has that ever happened before?
That they wouldn't be able to change something in their business or their minds?
Yeah,
to
because
grow?
I can imagine that all the time. I can only assume, like, we are human beings at the end of the day, and sometimes people just
Yeah.
either don't get it or it's not a good fit. Has there ever been a situation where you think this, what you could offer is not really what they need right now,
Yeah.
or they can't really, they'll never be able to grasp the approach? Has that ever happened?
Yes. Happens. I had a client like 6 years ago, and she didn't have patience, with people. So she wanted to grow, but she didn't have patience, and she didn't want to have a partner. How can you grow without having patience to teach, to make the process again and again with your team?
Do you recall that conversation with her?
Yes, I had that conversation. And it was very tough,
I can imagine.
very challenging. And it was something curious, because it was in that period of COVID, And that was a turning point, because I suggested actions, digital actions. And she said, no, it's impossible to do that in my niche.
Could I ask the niche? What was the niche?
Lashes, eyelashes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said, it's impossible in my niche. And I was like, yes, you have to turn your courses into digital courses, online courses. And she was like, that's impossible, because lashes are like... And some months later, of course, other companies, other business, and other founders were making like money, real money, with online courses, And
And that really boomed, didn't it, in COVID?
Yes.
Yeah, because people was
Yes.
at home, the people were...
Yes.
Yeah.
So she had that problem of patience. She didn't have patience. And that's another thing to conclude. She had patience with she had patience with her, how can I say, the people that she used it to teach, but she didn't have patience with their team, the internal people. And that was a problem. And the second problem, she didn't want it to innovate, to make new things, and that's it.
For the founder listening who's recognised themselves in everything that we've talked about today, where does your best thinking live? Where can they find you day to day?
Where can they find me? They can find me on Instagram, talking a lot. Making an Instagram live.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. I love teaching. So you can find me on Instagram, sharing my lifestyle and talking to you. And if you are ready to make new movements, I'm here, open. You can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn too.
Was there a newsletter as well? Did you have a newsletter?
Yes, but we are in the process creating new things for this new newsletter.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
So probably next week we're going to have some news there. And we are opening new channels.
So with those new channels, what's the natural first step for someone who hears this podcast today and thinks, okay, I want to go deeper on this? What do you recommend they do starting today?
Instagram.
Follow your Instagram.
Yeah. Follow my Instagram and start talking to me there. Bring me your doubts. So we can make a meeting and understand the next steps, understand your story, your scenario right now, and your goals. So that's the beginning.
Is there any like sneaky freebie that we could give the person that you're talking about today? For example, what's the simplest version of, and I'm going to probably get this wrong, posicionamento que vende, thinking that someone could apply this week even before they work with you?
I think that they can start sharing a little bit more of what they know, because the main issue that I always find is people don't talk about what they know, So the first step of positioning is who you want to talk with and what do you know that you can start now talking more about that.
There's no excuse for that person to start.
Yes, no excuse. It's like opening your camera and start talking about things that you know.
That must be a big nervous step as well to do that. But is there any techniques that you've come across that your clients have done that have sort of made that process easier?
Probably you have to be comfortable of being uncomfortable.
Is there a Portuguese phrase for that?
Confortável no desconforto.
Just the same. Confortável, yeah.
Confortável no desconforto. So that's something that is very important because you're gonna feel that that's not natural to you, and it's something that you have to normalize the fact that you're gonna be seen trying in public. And that's something that I'm doing right now. Trying something new in public.
This is for the record. She cannot stop. She cannot stop. She's absolutely live right now.
So I think that's the point, you don't have, you have to like eliminate the fear of being seen, trying,
Luiza, I want to thank you so much for being here. It's been great to have a chat.
Thank you.
And I'm blessed that, yes, you are the first on my podcast. I'm very grateful. Yeah.
I'm very happy about it.
But before we wrap up, I just want to ask, is there anything that you're getting excited about this week or this month happening? So we've got a few public events like Festa de Janina in Rio. We've got the football. I'll be honest, I'm not a massive follower of football, but my friends have said, come check it out. But is there anything that you're getting excited about soon? Like any projects or anything public?
We have some projects. Are you talking about something in general or in my business?
Anything that you think, this is why I'm going to get up today. This is why I'm going to get my coffee and get out of the house because I'm really excited about it. Tell me about that. What's that for you?
We are launching a new product probably next month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a product that is gonna be our first step of scaling, and we're gonna give a workshop.
A workshop?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
A morning workshop of intelligent sales.
And I guess that's the reason why people need to subscribe. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Luiza, this has been great. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. I'm glad. Thank you so much.